What's up, guys? Zasvarian here. Wanted to do another review. This particular one is definitely long overdue. I meant to do this a while ago on the Beretta PX4 Storm, and in this case, the compact model, a little bit shorter than the full size. I've had this gun for about three and a half years now. I've probably got at least 500 rounds through this. And this is definitely, in my opinion, it is the most comfortable, definitely the most comfortable firearm I have ever shot in my life. It is so, holding this gun is so ergonomic, it's not even funny, and it definitely deserves some credit for that. It's also a very neat looking gun, of course we'll go into that. Especially how it works. A couple of little neat things that Beretta's done with this, but the PX4, fantastic little gun. I'm very, very happy with it, and I'll try and get specific for you today. So first we'll start off, show you the gun a little bit. I'm sure you've probably seen pictures of it, but safety check, everything's clear. So there's a couple different submodels. There's a G and an F model. And as you can see over here, the safety, if I pull this down, this is also a decocker. So when I go from safety off, this is just a decocker that decocks the gun. Now, there's the difference between the G and the F model. This one over here, I believe, is the F model. And what this is going to do is, you can see how this remains down in its position. The other model does not. You press it, the hammer will decock, and then it will spring back up. So it'll always stay here. There's no lock there. That's the only difference between those two, the G and the F. So anyway, a couple different things we'll go through. First of all, the barrel. If you look right here, the barrel does not dip back down into the frame of the gun underneath the slide as you rack it back and then creep back up. This one actually rotates on its plane as you retract it, and it only does it slightly. Beretta claims this is to help with recoil, but if you watch it, you'll see that it actually rotates. You can see that right there. See that rotating? It's pretty cool. You can see the barrel stays on a straight plane, but yeah, it just barely rotates, and that's pretty cool. And of course, the decocker is doing its thing by pulling the hammer back down. It is a little scary the first time, the first time you do that, because it sounds like it's going to go bang, but it can't go bang. If you look at the way the mechanism works, way down in here, it's moving this little extension here, which goes, firing pins behind it on, further forward of this. It's moving it out of the way. So when you go to pull back on this, you'll see that once it's out of the way, it then decocks. So it cannot go off because that little piece now is out of the way. You can see it hides, it tucks it out of the way. All right, so another thing we'll go through real quick is the hammer on this does have two stages to it. There's a very early stage here, right there. So you can see there's this little early stage here. And that is supposed to be there. That is, the gun is not designed to carry around like that, so I don't like leaving it there too long. I might be overthinking it. I'm sure these things are tested and they beat the crap out of them in engineering, but this is here so that if you drop this while you're cocking it, it's not going to go all the way to the firing pin and potentially go off. And then there's your final stop right there. So that's something I do like about this. Now, there's a couple other little things I'll touch up on real quick. One thing I don't understand, and I've taken it apart 1,000 times to try and figure this out. Maybe if any of you know, you can go ahead and comment. But if you look right over here, you'll see that when I go to pull back, and I'm just pulling the trigger here, there's this little piece of metal here that pops up. I've tried to figure this out. I've tried to figure out what it's for and why it's here. I have no idea. And I haven't been able to find any information on it. So don't know why it's there. That little is just this tiny little piece of metal that pops up. See that? It's really weird. And it's only right at the final end of the trigger pull. So it's not a problem. It's just something that I'm unaware of as to why it's there. I'm sure some of you probably already know the answer. I'd appreciate it if you comment on that. So let's move forward a little bit. does have a little rail over here, which is nice. You could hang, a laser or a flashlight or a laser flashlight combination right over here. No big deal with that, but it's just a little thing that I'm glad that they put on there. There's a part of me that always loves the tacticalness, or tacticality. I think I said that wrong. Let's talk about the weight of the gun. Not too heavy here. We'll see if I can get the specs on here, but fairly light, even with a loaded mag in it. Still fairly light. I'd say it's a little bit heavier than the Glock 19. Of course, we'll find out if I'm right. A little bit of a springiness here to this mag releasing. And I did do a video on the Glock 26 that kind of lacked this, so I do like that it has a little bit of that push to it. All right, safety check. Now, we'll talk about the profile of the gun. Not a very thick gun, as you can see. So here, I'll get you right in here into the light here. Not a very thick gun. It's almost, it's almost, dare I say, single stack width for a technically a double stack gun. So I kind of like that. Again, small hands definitely helps, and this is a compact, but I don't know. I just kind of like that. Sights. So let's try and get our sight picture here on camera. Okay, and there's a little bit of a shadow at the front sight there, but they're nothing too impressive, nothing special, but they get the job done. Of course, you should probably put some tritiums on here, some night sights, like a lot of people do, but they're pretty low profile. And again, the low profile portion of the gun, especially how it's rounded at the edges here in that typical Beretta fashion, it's kind of nice. One thing that I have heard people complain about, and I would agree with this, is our safety / decocker over here and our slide release. And I should have mentioned this earlier, but this is an ambidextrous gun. We have the exact same thing over here. Well, here's the deal. If I turn it this way, you'll see this. They kind of, if you look right at them, you'll see that they kind of pop out a little bit here. They kind of protrude, and it might be hard to tell here. Yeah, here, I'll show you here. You'll see it a little bit better here with my hand under it. I know the desk is kind of dark, so it's hard to see. But if I'm looking straight down at my sight picture, these are actually the widest portions of the gun. Of course, the slide release sticks out a little bit, but these stick out kind of far. And yes, it's very easy, especially if you're holstered and you come over here, you can quickly turn it off. I get that, but they stick out pretty far. And here, let's look down. I think this would be a little bit, yeah, this is a way better way to show you. So as you can see how they kind of pop out, and then this kind of, this ridge here. See where that little step is, where my fingernail is, and then it ramps up. I feel like they should have stopped it right about there. I feel like that would have been okay. Lengthwise, maybe further for leverage, but I don't feel like this extra step right here, just right over here, was really necessary. So, do they get in the way? They kind of do. Now, when I go to rack it, I'll grab the serrations over here, little grips, and my thumb is actually kind of underneath it, as you can see. And then over here, my index finger on my left hand just kind of sits over here, and I'm actually pulling back slightly on the safeties. So that's how I would rack that. Now, if they're down and I'm pulling back, this tends to dig a little bit on this finger over here. Now, am I going to be a total pussy, and am I going to say, well, this is just really, really uncomfortable. I don't like this. You know what I mean? It hurts. Of course I'm not going to do that. Really? I've heard a lot of people say, there's one guy on here that did a review. I can't remember his channel, but he talked about people complaining about this, and he said, what are you, my grandma? Don't be a little bitch. And yeah, I realize maybe that's not the best way to to say it, but he's got a point. You know what I mean? Are you gonna mind hurting a little bit of digging into your hand here in the favor of saving your life? Probably not. At least I hope not. So anyway, it is a little bit of a complaint that they do ramp out here as far out of the gun as they do, but again, I don't expect anything to be perfect. Something you can live with. It's not a big deal. So, just to touch up on that. Now, before I take it down, I want to talk about, remember, I'm preaching how great the feel is with this. So, safety check, nothing's in there. The shooting feel. It is a very gradual pull and then just a pretty release. That's all it is. And reset is right here. So he was right here, bang, right there. So there's a little bit of take up, as you can see, when the hammer's down. You know, you're all the way out here. And this is double action / single action. So, you know, it's not one or the other. You know, you can have your cake and eat it too with this gun. Now, when I come back to here, we're going to see that trigger comes pretty far back. And then right back here is my drop point again. And there's the reset. Very, very comfortable trigger, by the way. And again, I don't have very big hands, but just very comfortable. It is plastic, but you know, it's just it contours so well here. I think they did a very good job with this. So very, very comfortable. And this is it right here. Everything under here, the ergonomics of how this fits into your hand, it's just so comfortable. I mean, it really holds. And I've had some of my friends shoot this who have much bigger hands than me. One of my friends has smaller hands than me, and all of them agree it's a very, very comfortable gun to shoot. My girlfriend's hands are not that big. She shoots this perfectly. She doesn't have a problem with it. Her hands are considerably smaller than mine. So it's just as comfortable as this is, and I've shot a handful, you know, of especially modern firearms, especially, you know, modern handguns on the market today. This is definitely the most comfortable. That's one of the things that sold me on it. It's just so comfortable to shoot. And I do think it's very well made. I have never had a fail to fire in this gun. And I've put, in its defense, I've put some pretty seriously cheap, you know, range ammo through this gun. I've just been, I don't know, I got to the range and started feeling kind of frugal because I'm already buying targets and everything. And I was just being a cheapskate. But I have put some cheap range ammo through this gun, some filthy ammo. And I feel bad that I did it. But never have I had a fail to fire in this. Through north of 500 rounds through it. So let's go ahead and take it down. Safety off. We did our clear check. All right. Hammer down. So takedown levers right here. Very similar to what you get on a Glock. Pull back slightly on the slide. Forward we go. Here's our frame. Off comes the slide. Now, our recoil spring is in this little housing here. It's kind of weird. It's got this little point, this little plastic kind of sharp piece on the end over here. And as you can see, it is a spring. I think you can see it here. Yeah, you can see it there. As you can see, it is a spring within a spring, I should say. Only goes in one way into this little housing, and then you just put it in, and it seats. Real easy. It's not as complicated as it looks. The housing actually has a little bit of flex to it. It's got this little pivot point over here, and just that tiny little pivot point is all it's used for. If I take it out, it's not going to go further or anything. It just literally goes back and forth that far. So anyway, if we took that down, then over here we have our barrel, and this is where the magic happens when we go to rack the slide back and the barrel rotates. So pretty simple. It's on this little notch groove right here, as you can see. And it literally just rotates back here on this little spline up against the inside of the mechanism here, which is here, which is what physically mates to there. So I can't really, kind of hard to show you, but it goes in here. And this piece here, where my thumb is what goes into here. So, you know, you move it back, this travels back with the recoil spring. Therefore, as it goes back, it moves it back, and actually this is the normal position. So actually slightly to the left right here is the position normal, and then it just goes back, as you can see, as it moves back and forward. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, kind of cool. I don't know. It's kind of neat how it does that. Of course, the barrel just comes out just like that. Nothing fancy there. Right out. Pretty easy to clean again. It's not anything that's ridiculously difficult or anything when we get down here into the slide. So I'll go ahead and put that back in. And well, you can see there's a little bit of a ring around it here. It has been shot a few times. So anyway, we'll go back in here. I'll straighten that out. And the reason that I'm kind of screwing up dropping that back in is because I know I'm on camera, and I think subconsciously I'm probably nervous, and I'm trying to make it perfect for you guys. I can take this gun apart blindfolded in the dark behind my back. It's all about feel, right? I know plenty of you do it. I do it too. This gun does come apart. I can bring it all the way down to exactly what I'm showing you here and completely reassemble it behind my back, lights out, while sitting on my bed. That's the criteria. So it is very, very easy to get in here and clean. So to go back in, remember, pointy part goes down into this housing and it just bottoms out. That's it. It's probably conical in there, so it guides it in centered. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to take just the very front over here of our recoil spring of our pin over here. We're just going to, or rod I should say, we're going to put it in. And then over here, we just press down and that's it. That's all it does. So you do want to make sure, if you have one of these, that the barrel is here when you do this, not here. Trust me, it gets a little annoying if you make that mistake. So you do want to make sure that it is clocked to that position. So yeah. Anyway, so I'll go ahead and do that again. Come back in. And, oh, and by the way, these mechanisms here, some of this is indeed plastic, and some of it is metal, as you can see. Now, this piece over here is plastic, just the edge here. Unreliable, again, I haven't had a problem with it. You may have different results, but I have not had any issues with it. So anyway, it's clicked in. We can see the pins popping out right there in the back. Go ahead and grab our frame. Frame real quick, we'll talk about this, the sear, the hammer, everything inside here. Pretty easy to clean. I'll get right back here in the hammer and I'll do, you know, what they talk about in the owner's manual. Put some lube in here. As well as in this this mechanism over here, because you can see the trigger's moving. There's a spring there for the trigger, and it's coming all the way back here and moving everything down here to drop the hammer. So you can actually see how it works there. It's kind of neat how this works, actually. This piece moves out of the way over here. Very easy to clean. Haven't had any issues with it. Just put a little dab, and then you're fine. So anyway, got our slide, got our frame. I'm going to go ahead and slide it back in, right? And that's it. A couple of extra slides to make sure everything's clear on the inside, and we're good. So we'll talk about conceal carrying this as well. I'm trying to keep all that in the frame there for you, for whatever reason. Would I conceal carry this gun? Now, I conceal my Glock 26. It's a Gen 4 26. You'll see the other video for it on my channel here. Concealing. This one here, I think, is a little bit heavier. I mean, it's going to be, right? It holds, obviously, more rounds here, so it is a little bit heavier. It is a little bit bigger, obviously. It's a compact. It's not a subcompact. For me, concealing this gun, if I have to, I'll do it, but it is not comfortable. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I know we talked about the thin profile, you know, thin slide and all that over here, and super comfortable in the hands. But because it's not a subcompact, it's just not as comfortable, for me at least. Now, I do have a Black Hawk holster for this. I think the Serpa is the other one. And I have carried it. Now, of course, being a Black Hawk holster, this is the outer waistband. This is basically, this is your open carry holster. You know, the one with the button that clicks and locks it in. You've all seen it. Fits in there perfect. Black Hawk did a great job building that holster for it. But this is a little bit impractical for me to conceal. Now, great at the range. Great home defense weapon, good for the car, wherever you want to put it. But at my height and weight, 162 pounds, 5'11", and kind of on the thin side, not the most comfortable thing in the world. For me, the Glock 26 Gen 4 is the biggest I'll go for a baby version of a full-size weapon. Now, they do make a subcompact version of this. It's kind of funny looking. It's very disproportionate looking if you look it up. And the barrel on the subcompact version, different from the compact like this one and the full size. When you go to When you go to rack it back on the subcompact, I'm told it does not have this rotating mechanism. I don't know why. I guess maybe they weren't able to fit it or something. It has a traditional barrel that sinks back and goes in. So that's another thing that I thought was kind of interesting. But maybe it was a safety issue, I don't know. And also, speaking of a safety issue, before I forget, I do want to say this. I know I should probably not be dropping this right in. I know I should be pulling it directly out of the mag so that the ejector doesn't get hurt. I'm sure it'll be okay this one time. When we're in here, and they've painted this red, it's kind of hard to see, but right over here, we have, just right where the ejector is, we have this little, this piece that protrudes here, and that red paint was a lot more red when the gun was newer. You can see this is patina. It's got some wear on it. And anyway, so this pops out over here red, showing that the gun is chambered. Now, obviously that red dot is useless. It's probably more of an industry standard that says it has to be there, but the feel. At night, pitch black, can't see the gun, right? Pick it up, feel it, know where I'm holding it. All I have to do is find this right here at the ejector port. I just have to find this little protrusion, and I can feel that in my hand. So if I go to pick it up, I just come over here, and I just know that that's right there. I'm like, okay, it's chambered, right? If we pull it out, right, nothing in there now, go back in. As you can see, it is no longer out. It is no longer protruding. And this will feel very flush like it does now if it is not chambered. So just another little nice indicator, I think, that talks about that, illustrates that pretty thoroughly. So anyway, that's another thing that I do like about it. But anyway, I'll go ahead and wrap this up of my review of the Beretta PX4 Storm in the compact version. Hope you guys like this. I think that's pretty thorough for where it needs to be. Like I said, it is a fully ambidextrous firearm. The mag release can be switched into the other side, so that can happen too. Yeah, hope you guys enjoy that. Hope that did some good for you. And if you do have any other questions, go ahead and let me know. I've got a decent amount of experience with this weapon because I've had it for a while and I've put a good amount of rounds through it. Cleaned every single time, but like I said, I have had no fail to fires out of this, even with cheap range ammo. Feels like it's well made. I'm not intentionally going to drop it on a concrete slab, but I feel like if I did, it would be fine. Definitely very solid feeling weapon, especially with the bottom being polymer. Very solid feeling. So I'm very happy with it. Like I said, it is the most comfortable to hold in the shooting position, which is one of the things that got me to it. I mean, you could see everything on the grips over here, as I was showing a little bit earlier. So hope that does it for you guys. Anyway, I'll go ahead and sign off over here. Like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe if you want. Let me know about my videos, and I'll try and keep them coming to you whenever I get anything like this. So anyway, hope that does it for you guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day.